You don't need acres to grow real fruit. You only need a sunny corner, a few good pots, and a little know-how. Today I'm taking you through 10 incredible fruit trees and fruiting plants that will thrive in pots and tiny backyards, plus one bonus trick that will make them all happier and more productive. Stick around. Number 7 practically pays for itself in one season, and the mulch tip at the end will change everything. Hey there, garden friend. I'm glad you're here. If you want practical low-cost wins for small space growing, hit subscribe and stick with me through the list. I post simple tested tricks for getting more food out of less space. 10. Pomegranate. Dense flavor, low water fuss. Why it's on the list. Pomegranates love container life because they tolerate root restriction and heat, and many varieties stay compact enough for patios. Varieties to try. Look for patio or dwarf selections and compact cultivars such as Nana, small, ornamental, edible, or garden-friendly types labeled patio or dwarf. Verify any uncommon cultivar names before purchasing. Pot size and drainage. A 15 to a 20-gallon pot is a good sweet spot for a pomegranate that will fruit reliably without becoming unwieldy. Use a mix that drains well, patio mix plus some coarse sand or perlite. Soil and feeding. Feed with a balanced slow-release fertilizer in spring and a lighter feed mid-season. Pomegranates aren't fussy about pH. Care tip. Give them hot, sun-drenched spots. They tolerate some drought once established, which concentrates flavor. Prune lightly in late winter to keep an open canopy and encourage fruiting wood. Yield estimate. In a good season, you might see a handful to a couple dozen fruits from a well-cared-for container pomegranate. Yields vary widely by variety and climate. Benefit. Big flavor and dramatic fruit, plus attractive fall foliage. And they're remarkably drought-tolerant, which makes them easy to care for on a balcony. Climate note. Best in Mediterranean and warm temperate climates. USDA roughly 7 to 10 for reliable outdoor fruiting. In cooler places, container pomegranates can overwinter in an unheated garage or a sheltered porch. 9. Fig. Effortless sweets, great for tiny spaces. Why it's on the list. Figs tolerate root restriction and respond well to being pot-bound. They're forgiving, fast to fruit, and can be forced into a manageable size. Varieties to try. Brown Turkey, Celeste, and Chicago Hardy are reliable choices for pots. Try compact or patio selections if available. Pot size and drainage, 15 to 25 gallons depending on how big you want it to get. Use a light, well-draining potting mix with some organic matter. Soil and feeding, moderate fertility. Too much nitrogen, and you'll get leafy growth at the expense of fruit. A balanced organic fertilizer in early spring works well. Care tip. Try a gentle, controlled stress before harvest. Reduce water slightly a week or two before figs ripen to concentrate sugars and improve sweetness. This is a trick I've used, not a guaranteed rule. Yield estimate. A container fig can produce dozens to a couple hundred small figs over a season once mature. Younger trees will have smaller, sporadic crops. Benefit. Fresh figs are dessert-level fruitiness. Buttery, honeyed, perfect eaten right off the branch. Climate note. Many figs will do fine in zones 7 to 10 when left outside. More marginal in colder zones. Move pots into frost-free spots or protect the root ball and trunk during winter. 8. Blueberries. Compact, attractive, and great for containers. Why it's on the list. Blueberries are tailor-made for pots when you choose the right cultivar and soil. They love containers because you can control the acidic soil they need. Varieties to try. Dwarf and patio-friendly types like Top Hat and Sunshine Blue are excellent for 5 to 15-gallon pots. Higher bush types can go into 20-plus gallon if you have the space. Pot size and drainage, 5 to 15 gallons for dwarf types. Larger if planting multiple bushes in a single container. Ensure excellent drainage and avoid heavy garden soil. Soil and pH notes. Blueberries need acidic soil. Aim for pH 4.5 or 5.5. Use ericaceous, acidic potting mix, or blend peat moss or coco coir for a peat-free option, pine bark fines, and perlite. If you can't access specialty mixes, mix regular potting soil with pine bark and an acidifier like sulfur or an acid-forming fertilizer. Feeding. Use fertilizers formulated for acid-loving plants or a regular balanced fertilizer in smaller amounts, and consider occasional applications of composted pine fines. Care tip. Blueberries prefer consistent moisture without waterlogging. Keep the root ball even and mulch the top 2 to 3 inches. For best fruit set, Plant 2 varieties for cross-pollination unless you choose a self-fertile variety. Yield estimate. For container-grown bushes, expect a modest harvest the first few years, roughly a pint to a few pounds per bush when young, increasing as the plant matures. Benefit? Fresh-picked blueberries have aroma and sweetness you'll never match in a supermarket, raspberry-like bursts in each bite, plus beautiful foliage all season. Climate note. Many varieties adapt from zone 4 through 9 depending on cultivar. Check chill hour requirements and pick varieties rated for your zone. 7. Meyer lemon, the one that can pay for itself. Why it's on the list. Meyer lemons are compact, fragrant, and wildly productive for container life. They bloom and fruit repeatedly, and the aroma alone makes them patio royalty. Varieties to try. Meyer is the classic choice and widely available. Look for grafted patio specimens labeled for container growth. Pot size and drainage. 15 to 25 gallons once established. You can start smaller but expect to transplant into a larger pot as it grows. Ensure excellent drainage. Soil and feeding. Citrus-specific potting mixes or a fast-draining mix with added organic matter are best. Feed regularly with a citrus fertilizer, following label directions. Care tip. Citrus appreciates steady water and regular feeding. In cooler climates, move the pot to a bright, frost-free spot for winter. Protect from hard freezes. Even a temporary indoor move will keep fruiting on track in marginal zones. Yield estimate. A mature container. Meyer lemon can produce dozens of lemons in a season, plenty to supply fresh juice, zest for cooking, or homemade lemonade. This is an observed range, not a guarantee. Benefit. Exceptional flavor and fragrance. Lemons are versatile in the kitchen, and the ornamental value of glossy leaves and blossoms is huge. Climate note. Best outdoors in USDA zones, 9-11. In zones 8 or colder, pot culture with winter protection is a great strategy. 6. Dwarf peach, sweet summer bites in a pot. Why it's on the list. Dwarf peach trees give you real, full-flavored peaches without the footprint of a full orchard tree. Varieties to try. Look specifically for patio or dwarf-labeled peach cultivars. Common names include various dwarf peaches sold by nurseries. Verify cultivar listings at your nursery before buying. Verify if unsure. Pot size and drainage. 15 to 20 gallons is a practical container size for a dwarf peach. Use a well-draining mix with compost for structure. Soil and feeding. Peaches like slightly acidic to neutral soil and respond to regular feeding. Early spring and early summer feeds are most helpful. Care tip. Thinning is crucial. Remove excess fruit when they're about the size of a nickel, so remaining peaches grow larger and sweeter. Keep good air circulation to minimize disease risk. Yield estimate. A container dwarf peach can give you a handful to a few dozen peaches when mature. A tasty payoff for a small amount of space. Benefit. Homegrown peaches are impossibly fragrant and sweet when properly thinned and ripened on the tree. Climate note. Best in warm temperate zones, roughly USDA 6 to 9 depending on cultivar. Protect the roots and or move the pot in late cold snaps in marginal areas. 5. Dwarf cherries. Tiny trees, big rewards. Why it's on the list. Dwarf cherry trees give you real cherries without a full-size orchard commitment. Sour cherry types tend to be easier in containers. Varieties to try. Compact and dwarf selections such as Compact Stella and dwarf sour cultivars are good bets. Many nurseries sell patio cherries specifically for containers. Pot size and drainage, 15 to 20 gallons to keep the root system happy and stable. Good drainage and a slightly sandy loam mix help avoid root rot. Soil and feeding. Cherries prefer well-drained soil and regular feeding. Mulching helps keep moisture even around the roots. Care tip. Protect fruit from birds with netting. Thin where necessary for larger fruit. Also watch for spring frost on blossoms. In colder zones, brief frost protection or moving potted trees into sheltered microclimates can save a crop. Yield estimate. A container cherry might produce a few pounds of fruit per season once mature. Sour cherries often do better and are easier to harvest than sweet types in small yards. Benefit. Fresh cherries are intensely flavorful and make outstanding preserves and pies. They're also a lovely ornamental in bloom. Climate note. Cherries need chill hours. Choose varieties matched to your chill zone. In warm climates, they may struggle to set fruit reliably. 4. Columnar apples. Vertical fruit for tiny spaces. Why it's on the list. Columnar apple trees grow up instead of out. Perfect for narrow patios and tight beds, while still producing full-sized apples. Varieties to try. Columnar varieties such as North Pole, Scarlet Sentinel, and similar columnar scions are specifically bred for narrow growth habits. Pot size and drainage. 15 to 20 gallons for most columnars. They tolerate being slightly root-bound, but will fruit better with space. Soil and feeding. Use a fertile, well-draining potting mix and apply balanced fertilizer in early spring and mid-season. Care tip. Minimal pruning is needed to maintain the column shape. Thin fruit to prevent limb stress and encourage larger apples. Consider espalier and staking for wind resistance. Yield. Estimate. Expect modest but regular yields. Enough apples for fresh eating and a few jars of cider or sauce. Over time, production increases as the tree matures. Benefit. Apples for a balcony, with fall color and tasty fruit. Perfect for small space edible landscaping. Climate note. Varieties vary widely. Choose columnars bred for your zone and chill hours. In colder areas, protect pots from hard freezes. 3. Strawberries, the container superstar. Why it's on the list. Strawberries are fast, versatile, and perfect for pots, hanging baskets, and vertical planters. They give quick gratification and continuous harvest. Varieties to try. Day-neutral or ever-bearing types like Albion and Seascape are excellent for container systems because they produce over a long season. Pot size and drainage. Single plants do well in 1, 2, or 3 gallon pots. For a continuous patch, use larger troughs or tiered planters with good drainage. Soil and feeding. Use fertile, well-draining potting mix and side dress with compost or balanced organic feed during the growing season. Care tip. Replace plants every few years for best vigor, and remove runners if you want larger fruit from fewer crowns. Keep berries shaded from the hottest afternoon sun in very hot regions to avoid sun scald. Yield. Estimate. In containers, individual plants can yield a few ounces to a pound over a season, depending on variety and care. Planted as a system, you can expect a steady harvest for fresh snacking and preserves. Benefit. Immediate gratification. Sweet berries in arm's reach, ideal for small space snacking and kids. Climate note. Strawberries grow in a broad range of climates. Protect containers in extreme heat or cold. 2. Dwarf avocado. Tropical richness in a pot. Why it's on the list. Dwarf avocado selections let you grow creamy avocados in a container. Ideal if you crave homegrown guacamole without acres of tropical weather. Varieties to try. Dwarf avocado types such as Wurtz, sometimes called Little Cato, are the go-to for container culture. Grafted true dwarf forms are more reliable than seedlings. Pot size and drainage. Avocados are heavy feeders and need space. Start in a 20-25 gallon pot and move to 30-45 gallons for a long-lived container tree if you want consistent fruit. Soil and feeding. Use a fast-draining mix with added organic matter. Avocado roots dislike being waterlogged. Drainage is critical. Feed regularly with a balanced fertilizer plus micronutrients. Care tip. Avocados are sensitive to cold. In cooler zones, overwinter potted avocados in a frost-free place or bring them indoors on cold nights. Hand pollination can help in low wind or indoor settings to improve fruit set. Yield. Estimate. Container avocados may take several years to set reliable fruit. Once established, small trees can produce a handful to dozens of avocados depending on age and conditions. Benefit. The flavor payoff. Ripe homegrown avocados are creamy and complex, and you can harvest as needed for perfect ripeness. Climate note. Best outdoors in subtropical to tropical zones. USDA 911. In cooler areas, container culture with winter protection is the path to success. 1. Dwarf banana. Tropical showstopper that fits a balcony. Why it's on the list? Dwarf bananas deliver lush tropical foliage and real fruit in surprisingly small footprints. Plus, they're fast-growing and dramatic. Varieties to try. Dwarf Cavendish and other labeled dwarf bananas are the easiest for containers. There are dwarf ornamental varieties too. Choose true edible dwarf types for fruit. Pot size and drainage. 15 to 30 gallons per pseudostem. If you want multiple stems for continuous harvest, plan for a larger container or multiple pots. Soil and feeding. Bananas are heavy feeders. Rich, well-draining potting mix plus regular, balanced feeding keeps them productive. Care tip. Keep them evenly moist and fed, and protect the root ball from cold. Cut back spent stems and allow new pups to form. In cool climates, move pots to a protected spot or greenhouse for winter. Yield. Estimate. A mature clump can produce several hands of bananas in a season once established. Timing varies with climate and variety. Benefit: the theater of lush leaves, fast growth, and clusters of bananas, and the flavor of fresh-picked bananas is a treat if you can time ripening right. Climate note: best in USDA zones, 8 to 11 for outdoor fruiting. Container culture extends possibilities into cooler areas with winter protection. Bonus tip: mulch. The single cross-cutting trick that helps everything mulch is the unsung hero of container fruit. A 2 to 3 inch layer of wood chips, straw, or shredded bark on top of the potting mix does 3 big things. It regulates soil temperature so roots aren't shocked by hot sun or cold nights. It reduces evaporation so you water less frequently and keep moisture consistent. And over time, it breaks down and feeds the container with organic matter that improves structure. Practical sourcing: ask tree services for excess wood chips, check local yard waste programs, or politely request food-grade buckets and crates from bakeries and restaurants for temporary storage. Always ask permission and follow local rules when collecting materials. Avoid using fresh chips directly against stems without some composting. If in doubt, let wood chips age a season or use a layer of cardboard between chips and soil to prevent nitrogen lockup. A few cross-cutting practical pieces of advice. Drainage matters. Every pot needs drainage holes and a saucer or tray to catch excess water. Elevate pots slightly so water doesn't sit and rot roots. Feel the pot. Learning the weight of a pot when it's right versus too dry is one of the quickest ways to gauge watering without guesswork. Stick your finger into the soil. If the top 1-2 inches are dry, it's time to water for most fruit plants. Protect in winter. In marginal climates, the simplest way to keep a potted fruit tree alive is to move it to a sheltered spot, wrap the pot with insulating material, or sink the container into the ground temporarily. Even moving a citrus onto the north side of the house or into a bright garage can make the difference between survival and loss. Prune and thin for quality. For peaches and apples, thinning small fruit early produces larger, sweeter results. For cherries, thin and net to manage birds and improve size. For figs and pomegranates, a light structural pruning in late winter keeps the plant productive without excessive size. Watch for root-bound signs. Containers limit roots intentionally, but extreme root-bound conditions, roots circling the pot and choking the soil, will stunt fruiting. Repot into a slightly larger container and refresh soil every few years. Use mulch and regular feeding. Containers lose fertility faster than garden beds. Regular feeding and a protective mulch layer will keep roots comfortable and productive. A final word on cost and rewards. Container fruiting is about control. You pick your soil, your microclimate, and you can move the tree to chase sun or escape frost. Many of these plants, especially Meyer lemon, blueberries, and strawberries, can recoup their initial cost quickly in saved grocery bills and the sheer joy of harvesting perfect fruit at home. Remember that retail price comparisons are rhetorical. Your real return is the flavor, experience, and the knowledge you grew it yourself. Recap: you can fit real fruit into very small spaces with the right varieties and pots. Pomegranate, fig, blueberry, Meyer lemon, dwarf peach, dwarf cherry, columnar apple, strawberries, dwarf avocado, and dwarf banana all make excellent container choices. Add 2 to 3 inches of mulch to every pot, choose the right pot size and soil, and protect your plants in marginal weather. Which of these 10 will you start with? Leave a comment and tell me which one you're trying first. And don't forget to subscribe for more practical, budget-friendly small space growing tips. Now get out there and grow something amazing.